Thank you for joining the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm your host, David Swope. Spencer Hill, how you doing, Spencer?
I'm good. Getting a little bit darker. Summer's here.
I am so envious. I mean, I would have to fake tan like that for probably a month to get that kind of tan.
Well, you were down south. I was expecting a little bit darker skin on you.
I know, and it looks like that, you know, maybe I was just hiding out, like I was playing hooky.
You must have been in the bar the whole time.
Well, I probably, I definitely was doing that. But tell me, what did you do when I was gone?
Well, it was a quiet weekend for me, no racing this weekend, but I was at work Monday, and we had a huge hailstorm roll through the Albuquerque area, and out of nowhere, all the power went out at my work at Frank's Supply. And it was a little bit funny because I had just clocked out for lunch. Oh. So I was mid-sandwich, and all of a sudden the lights go out, and I straight missed my mouth. It was hilarious the way that it worked out like that. But I had to get my phone out for a flashlight, find my way down the stairs. Everybody was just in mass panic because all of a sudden darkness is upon us in the middle of the day. And I tried to clock back in. Computers are down. So now it's a big deal. I got to go to HR, all that good stuff. But that was how my Monday went. How about yours?
Well, I was actually in Rio Rancho, so I got the rain. I didn't get the hail. But when I got home, I had a couple of cars outside, and I was like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah, that's the first thing you think about.
Yeah, and of course, we got Jim Guthrie's coming on later today. So I always think about when the weather gets bad, how good Car Crafters is probably doing. But yeah, no, I went home. Everything was fine, thank goodness, because the last two hailstorms went right over my house. So I don't, so I got lucky on that. But the only racing I got to do this weekend was some bench racing. Went down to Mexico. I had a great time. It was fantastic down there. Nice little drive, but drove through Tucson. Okay. And so I was actually hoping that maybe I could stop by and check out the track, but the family was just like ex-nay on that.
Yeah, but, no racing on this trip, straight vacation, huh?
But I wanted to tell you, you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I hope that people tune into Wheels Up Wednesday and having Matt on. Of course, Matt, you owe me a car wash, so next Tuesday when we're filming, you can come down and wash the car.
Yeah, of course. And I do want to thank you. I know I speak for Matt when I say that we had so much fun last week on the show. It's so cool to get out of our element and be able to share our stories out with the world too, and kind of cross paths a little bit with the New Mexico Motorsports Report. So thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, a lot of neat things going on with the New Mexico Motorsports Report. As a matter of fact, go check it out. Dominic Aragon, one of our reporters, of course, the editor-in-chief for the Racing Experts, was at the White House yesterday.
Of all places.
Yeah, it was like, New Mexico in the house. Now, of course, I was there. I was like, are you there with NASCAR? Or are they going to, is it a DACA rally? I mean, being from New Mexico, did they know you were from the continental United States? So I was really concerned about that. But
got to tread lightly up there.
Yeah, exactly. It was a tremendous opportunity. But tell us what's going on the local event calendar.
Yep, so locally we got the ABQ Dragway Friday, May 25th, Memorial Day Mayhem, Real Outlaw Door Slammers, Outlaw 8.5 and Combo Race. And then Saturday, May 26th, Memorial Day Mayhem, Real Outlaw Door Slammers, Outlaw 8.5 and Full Bracket Race. And then Sandia Motor Speedway's next event is going to be June 2nd for the Clay Oval Racing Series, Summer Classic. And we also have drifting from 4 to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Going over to the Sandia Motocross, by the way, next event over there is going to be June 9th through 10th, round 3 for Moriarty Motocross 2018 race series. Yeah,
still working on trying to get Jason Anderson on this show because I know he's going to have a little time off,
Eventually we got to hit him on a good week.
Eventually. I mean,
of course, now it's the outdoor season for him, so no breaks for him.
That's absolutely true. But we put him on the cover of the magazine, which will be out actually this week. So start to check the stands. You can go online right now and actually check it. The magazine's available at nmmotorsportsreport.com, so you can check that out. But yeah, Sandia, I know that they're working on some well issues, and of course you think about it, and it's like, well, you can't run on dirt without some water. And so, they're going to have to get that all figured out. So we'll keep you posted as soon as they get everything up and running. But did want to talk a little bit about the Memorial Day Mayhem. If you haven't had a chance to go out and check it out, the Real Outlaw Door Slammers is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, the Outlaw 8.5s, what that is these guys drag race on smaller tires. and so the 8.5 is the size of the tire. So it's really one of those things with index racing that you're trying to be able to hook up that much horsepower with a smaller tire.
Makes it a little bit trickier for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So and there's a lot of great cars. As a matter of fact, I went out last week before I left town, and for one of the they were getting ready for the car clash with the New Mexico VWs. I thought, well, I might see a couple of VWs. There was 12 like super built VWs that were there practicing as a part of the year would take it to the track to get ready. So next time, I'm definitely that they're there. I'm gonna have to go see it. And of course, I know that the Mopar, New Mexico Mopar Challenge, that was their round 1. So we'll have a lot of that stuff coming up. But if I was itching, it's Memorial Day. I mean, of course, apple pie
coming up.
So tell me, I mean, where if I have in the state, where can I go and watch some racing, dirt track racing this weekend?
So in the state of New Mexico, there's a couple of choices that you do have this weekend. Southern New Mexico Speedway, Las Cruces, New Mexico, great facility down there. They have a 2-day show coming up this weekend with the ASCS cars. Fast sprint car racing down there. Always a great show. And then you can also go support a little bit more closer to Albuquerque if you're living in this area with Grants and Uranium Capital Speedway, as they also are going to host a 2-day show, and I believe Mud Bogs.
Oh, wow.
So great time for the family. Everybody loves a little bit of racing on Memorial Day weekend.
Well, absolutely. It's so packed. I mean, there's so many things that you can do because, of course, I think that we may have talked about this before, but Memorial Day and Memorial Day Sunday specifically, you start with Monaco. I mean,
the big 3.
Yeah, the big 3. You got Monaco, and then you're going to go to, of course, the Indy 500. We got to talk a little bit about, bump day. We finally had enough cars.
It's kind of funny.
Wow.
Everybody's like, bring bump day back, bring bump day back. And now that's what bump day is?
Right.
Everybody's blown away. So a lot more on that to come later on in the show. We have lots of stories to share with that, and also a little preview of the Coca-Cola 600 coming up.
Well, and they're even talking about, because you were talking about the smaller teams, and maybe, picking, 1 or 2 races. Just think about the Coke 600. If you had the bump day for the 600, how are people going to handle that? Because, James Hinchcliffe is not going to make the race, and he's a regular, so.
He's 5th in points right now.
Yeah, so, that's extremely significant. But of course, like I said, there's a lot of other races going on. Car shows. You want to go check out some car shows. Saturday, May 26th, the Northern New Mexico Honor Flight Show and Shine Veterans Memorial. That's on Louisiana. It's just about Gibson. It's a really neat place to go. May 26th and 27th, the Route 66 Casino Hotel Deck of Cards charity car show. That's really cool because you can go and you can collect, the different cars that are on the cards, and you can, collect the whole deck. But then again, it's a nice little drive out there. Get to check out all those cars. On Sunday, the 27th, Mustang Enchantment Car Show at the Marriott Pyramid North Hotel. That's San Francisco and I-25. And the Cougar Club is also going to have a show over at Power Ford on Montano Road. So, you could go check out any of those. And then, of course, the Father's Day show is not too far away, and a lot of great shows coming up. And of course, we had a good time over at the Barley Room show not too long ago, and had a little quarter midget demonstration in the parking lot. You missed that, but the best part was Caleb Luce had his SEMA car. He's won all kinds of awards with that, and little Caleb Cox was doing some laps. And he was starting to, because it was a little dusty, because we didn't blow off the parking lot.
Track's green, baby.
He was kind of getting it exactly. He was kind of getting it sideways, and then Caleb had to move his car because he thought he was going to have the quarter midget actually run into his car. So that was kind of cool to kind of try and calm him down. But if you miss any of the New Mexico Motorsports reports, you can always go to nmmotorsportsreport.com. You can check us out at 1017theteam.com for the podcast, for the radio show. As a matter of fact, Brooklyn had a whole contingency of young ladies from Grant on the radio show.
She had a cart of ladies over there. That was an exciting show. She did a great job too, by the way. Good job, Brooklyn Green.
Yeah, so a little bit of everything. So you just go to the website. We've got all of that stuff on there. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at MMM report. But that was the Unser Racing Museum event calendar. Make sure you go by and check that out. As a matter of fact, Bobby Unser, this is the 50th anniversary of his first Indy 500 win. I was 2, so I don't really remember. 1776 Montano. They're open 7 days a week from 10 to 4, and you should definitely go check that out. But also, Bob Brown on ESPN Radio had Joey Unser on, and he won a national a snowboarding and skiing event.
A little bit different adrenaline rush, but
yeah, it was
cool.
So there's like 4 of them. I didn't know. I knew of Micro Al or Al the Third, and of course Cody, but I didn't know. There was a Joey, so
Joey, it was some good, huh?
Yeah, so we got a little article about him in the NM Motorsports Report magazine, so you can definitely check that out. A lot of neat things coming up in the show. Of course, Truman West, you're going to interview him. What a legend! A
very special interview coming up here soon. Dear to my heart, he gave me one of my first shots ever in big car racing. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up, I think, next. So.
Yeah, and of course, we've got Jim Guthrie coming up as well. So we're going to find out what Jim's into. Always some neat stuff. We'll probably go out there and make sure to see if he drove to the interview with his GT. But and if he did, then we get to drive it, right?
Yeah, that's just
that goes without saying. We get to drive anything that you drive to this show with. So if you want to be on this show and you got a really cool car that you're going to let us drive, just send us an email, nmmotorsportsreport@gmail.com. All right, we got a whole lot more coming up. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Network, Comcast 26.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Did you know Sunrun Solar is the largest residential solar company in the country? Go solar and save 20% on your electric bill for as little as $0 down. Exclusive partner with Costco, and member guests receive special benefits. Call Mike Gutierrez at 505-227-0791. Sunrun Solar.
The luxurious La Bella Spa Salon offers the best personal care for your improved quality of life.
At El Bosco Bistro and Wine Bar, you will enjoy elegant, private dining with an old-world cuisine containing sustainable ingredients from the farm to your table.
La Bella Spa Salon has the latest in CBD therapy. Feel better with a botanical hemp massage or choose natural CBD products to treat pain, PTSD, and anxiety.
Enjoy the world-class experience that will leave you renewed, refreshed, and looking your best. La Bella Vita. You deserve it.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of Proview Networks. Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm Spencer Hill, and now I'd like to bring in someone very special to me, founder of SEH Motorsports, Truman West. Truman, how you doing today?
Fine, how are you, Spencer? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time. Of course, me and you go back a couple years now, and I got to know, 45 years plus in the sport, what started this whole thing?
Well, for me, my family was in the automotive business down on West Central for a long time. And one night my dad came home from work and said that he was going to the races, wanted to know if I wanted to go. And I had an opportunity to go to the movie with my mom, so I opted not to go to the movie and went to the races with my dad. And he had a guy that he knew named Wes Etheridge with an old flathead Ford. And I went out there and I've been hooked ever since. And then eventually my dad did work his way up to where he went around the country a little bit with Bobby Unser. And that's what really got me hooked on sprint cars. I mean, there was nothing like that. That was back when it was raw. So it was a great thing to see. I saw a lot of people race. I saw a lot of people that I wouldn't have ordinarily got to see. I mean, it's a great thing. So.
Now, early in your career, you got to meet somebody by the name of Wayne Rue. A very special friend to you. How did that friendship start?
Well, me and Wayne were in the Marine Corps Reserve together, ironically, and I had got involved in racing. I was helping Richie Barnes a little bit, Shockett Hendy a little bit, and then I decided I wanted to race, and I had no help other than my dad, so I asked Wayne if he would help me, and pretty much he's been there ever since. I mean, we took some time away from each other for a while. He went and helped Joe and Johnny Herrera for a while, and went and did some other things, but pretty much we've been together ever since, and he's still with me today. So
a lot of stories to be told between you two, I'm sure, from the beginning to end. So I also got to know, of course, I'm pretty young, 20 years old right now. What were the cars like back when you were first getting started, back in the early 70s?
Well, we've talked about that a lot, and nowadays the kids that show up, they all want new shiny stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. But back in them days, when Bobby went to get a ride, when Al went to get a ride, when Parnelli Jones went to get a ride, they went to the racetrack and they got in the first box they could get in. I mean, they weren't great cars, they were beat up cars because they were just struggling trying to get a ride. But back in that day, a bladder wasn't mandatory. In fact, that car that you're seeing there had a plastic fuel cell in it. The seat belts were old military surplus stuff that you bought at Jones Surplus Barn. The first cars I ever saw, the guys didn't have seat belts. They raced with a thing called a Sam Brown belt, which just went around your shoulder and hooked to the side of the car here. But I've been in the racing community here when they voted in bladders, they voted in fire suits, they voted in, I mean, there's...
And now Hans devices, mandatory in most series. And
I fully believe in the safety stuff. Everything you can do to make yourself safe, you're a lot better off in today's world, because, I mean, things can happen bad. So.
Of all those safety innovations, which do you think was the most necessary?
I believe the fuel cell and bladder were, and I still today think that that's a big part of it, because them cars carry 28 to 30 gallons of fuel, and the flash point on alcohol is pretty high. So it's a great innovation. That and the fire suit. I mean, fire is horrible. I mean, it's not does it scar you for life, but it ruins your life. So
it just blows my mind to think that back in the day, I mean, people are going around racing in T-shirts like this and bandanas around their mouths just to cover up all the dust.
Back in the day, there was out on West Central, there was a place called the Route 66 Drive-In Theater, and they ran 3/4 midgets there. And I'll never forget, there was a guy that was the top dog out there named Okie Cahill, and he raced, and when he raced, he smoked. He smoked the whole time he was racing. And I thought that was...
Wow.
Yeah, I mean...
That blows my mind.
I don't know how you keep a cigarette lit, but he did. So.
And here we have a couple pictures. There was a point in your life where you switched your role from a driver to an owner. What was that like?
Well, it was a pretty easy transition, because I got to be honest with you, I wasn't much of a driver anyway, I was the guy that had 2 speeds, stop and go, and that sometimes you got to use a little finesse. Sometimes you got to slow down and go faster. But it was the same kind of charge, especially because my brother did a really good job when he got in the car. I mean, he had talent. He had raced bicycles and stuff like that, so he knew what it was like. And we didn't start running up in the front right away, but eventually we did, and that was fun. I mean, we finished second in a couple championships. We finished second to Johnny Herrera at Hollywood Hills. I mean,
big name, by the way.
Oh yeah, when you get up there and you run with the big dogs, it's a charge. And that particular race right there, that's the Floyd Reynolds race, which at the time was one of the biggest races in the state of New Mexico, and I am very, very proud to say that we were able to win it. So that's a feather in my cap.
And here we have another picture a little bit later on, and this is the Mansfield brothers, right?
Yes, well, whenever Tim decided he wanted to go do something else, I was kind of in a situation of, what do I do? And I knew the Mansfield brothers from the quarter midget track and from the mini sprint track, so we gave Austin a chance, and then another car opened up and we gave Cody a chance, and that was fun. Those boys are pretty talented boys. I mean, we had a lot of fun with them. So.
And you bring up a good point there. There's a lot of people that you had the opportunity to introduce into the sport of sprint car racing, and one things that you always told me that was so special to you was being able to see the smile on a kid's face the first time that they turn laps in a sprint car. Can you describe what that's like to others?
Well, I don't know if I can describe it to anybody's liking, but I will tell you, it's something that you will never, ever, ever forget. I mean, as you know, I don't know if people know, but Spencer drove for me for a while, and the look on his face was, I guess, like a kid at Christmas. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it, and it's such a charge for me to give these kids a chance that wouldn't ordinarily get a chance, because I know when I was young, that's all I wanted to do was race. I asked Al Unser Sr., I says, how do you get to be a race car driver? And he says, you just got to be around it. You just got to be around it. And I'm fortunate that I was able to give some kids a chance, because it's a charge for me. I mean, I do it for them, but I do it for me too. So.
I know that was one of the most special things in the world to me. I still remember that very vividly to this day, first laps that I got to turn a sprint car, and likely that would not have came without you, Truman. So I appreciate what you do for kids and really just for the sport in general. One of the #1 people to give back to the sport, and that's so special.
Well, what keeps racing going is people giving back. There's sponsors in this town that help. There's people in this town that kids couldn't do it without their help. So and it's a shame that a town the size of Albuquerque, we don't have some of the greatest racing in the country, but it's just the nature of the beast. It never has really been gooder. I mean, back in the early days, they packed the grandstands, but there was nothing else to do. I mean, there was maybe a movie to go see or maybe a restaurant to go to, but now the promoters and the people that run the tracks are competing for that usable dollar, or disposable dollar, I guess as they call it, because there's a lot out there now. There's a lot to do. So
yeah, things have definitely changed in the last couple of years. I've seen it even in my lifetime. Kids nowadays, going outside less and less, playing more video games versus actually going outside and playing football, baseball, all those sports to get your kid into, I feel like are hurting a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So if we can maybe come back to that a little bit and get more kids involved in racing, bring back the go-karts, the quarter midgets, those true entry-level sports like that, I think that would be huge for everybody, and obviously that's going to feed the sport as we move on.
Well, the problem we have nowadays is the only comparison that kids have nowadays to anything race car wise is the NASCAR deal, and even those cars are not like the car you can buy on the street. So I mean, most of these kids are into them little four-banger cars and stuff like that. So I mean, the racing community needs help, needs something, and I'm going to do everything I can to be part of that help. So there's worse things you can do in life besides race, I'll guarantee you.
Oh, that's for sure. And another thing I want to bring up is how much family means to you. I know that family is very dear to your heart, and I just wanted to see what it means to you to be able to share this huge chapter in your life with people like your wife Pat, the girls, and now your grandchildren.
Well, the name SEH Motorsports, it came because I have two granddaughters and one is Sky Emerald Tanner, which she was Harris, and Sydney Elaine Hamlin. And Sydney was a little bitty thing, and she said to me, she says, Sky has the same numbers I have, and I couldn't figure out what she was talking about, but she was talking about the SEH. So that's how the SEH came to be, and then of course we've decided we should name it XYZ Motorsports because my oldest daughter had 2 more kids, so if but that's how it came. And I would not race if it wasn't for my family. I don't know how people go to the racetrack and their family don't go with them. And I will tell you, raising your kids at the racetrack, raising your grandkids at the racetrack, everybody's your babysitter. Everybody knows what your kids are doing. I knew things my kids did before they did. So it's a wonderful, wonderful fraternity, wonderful community.
It is, for sure. At the end of the day, Truman, how would you like people to remember Truman West and the legacy that you've left on this sport?
Well, I go out of my way to try to make sure that I pay people that I owe, that I thank people that help me, and I hope when my life is over with that they all stand there and say he was a pretty good old boy. I mean, if there's one person in this world that said he's a sorry, no good son of a gun, I think I'll feel that, and I hope that doesn't happen. But you just gotta take life as it comes, give back, and I try to do everything I can to be a better guy tomorrow than I was yesterday. So that's the way I live my life, and that's how I want to be remembered.
And I think a lot of people can learn a lot from what you just said right there. I know there's so many people that have helped you along the way, but is there a couple core people that are close to you that you'd like to thank?
Well, the guy that really got me started and stepped up into the better cars and stuff was my cousin at Southwest Abatement. He got behind me in my racing program, and I could count on him every year to write me a check. Things got a little tough from him because of the asbestos business and stuff like that. He had to back off some, but he helped me get going. And of course, my wife and my dad and my mom and Wayne, Dave Burns in Santa Fe. I mean, there's a lot of people. Jim Guthrie every kid that's driven my car has showed up with something that Jim Guthrie gave them. I mean, and that is awesome. That is very, very awesome. He don't have to do that. So,
no, and that's very important to have people like that still involved with racing.
But there's so many people out there that I would be pinched to thank them all. But I mean, I was fortunate enough to work with Butch Capo, Shaka Hindi, Richie Barnes. I worked a little with the Unser family. I've seen a lot and I've done a lot, and I've seen motorsports when it was raw. I mean, when them cars were dangerous, they were swing sets, but I didn't care. You were the entertainment. You were the daredevil. You were the barnstormer. And people, you see how dangerous that car was? It don't matter. But it's changed. Thank God it's changed. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the show,
Thank you so much for having
Truman.
me. Thanks for doing this show.
And thank you for all that you've done for me and boosting my career. I can't even begin to tell people how much it means to me.
Well, I got to tell a story about Spencer. I've known Spencer a while, and we've always talked about him driving for me. And I let him drive for me the one time. We go to El Paso, start dead last, and he runs third. And I mean, that is one of my biggest highlights in my racing career, because Spencer had never been in a race car, a sprint car, and a lot of people didn't even know who he was. And I want to thank you very much for giving me that memory.
Thank you, Truman. If you'd like to know more about SEH Motorsports, you can log on to Facebook and like their page at SEH Motorsports, SEHMOTORSPORTS. You're watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report on Proview Network, and we'll be right back.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Legacy Boxing Promotions presents Route to Glory. Bad Blood, June 23rd in Legends Theater at Route 66 Casino, Albuquerque. It's Bad Blood in the co-main event when Mike Matt Alderete fights Max Mad Heyman. In the main event, Josh Pitbull Torres against Christian Cabral. Undefeated Jason Sanchez takes on Eric Manriquez. Aaron Angel Baby Perez fights George Roybal. Plus, fights by Ronnie Mongoose Baca, Christian Castigo Castillo, Matthew Papitas Escobar, and Augustine Perez. Road to Glory, Bad Blood.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you. Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Network, Comcast 26. And joining us is Jim Guthrie, a longtime friend. How you doing, Jim?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Well, I'm glad you're finally in town.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
You're absolutely welcome. But so car crafters, I'd like you to share the story of how your mom told you to get it the heck out of the garage. Tell that story about how you kind of got into spraying cars.
Well, you know, I was fixing cars in the garage, and then every day my mom and dad would come home from work, and they have this really nice house with a white garage door, and as it closed, it would be a different color. Oh. Because of the overspray of whatever car I painted that day. Finally, you know, my mom said she'd had enough. I'd forget to relight the hot water heater, so she couldn't do laundry, cook dinner. Ooh. So they said, hey, we're paying for your school. I was going to school, UNM, and they finally said, you've got to make a choice. Either go to school full time, or you're going to have to move out and get a shop. So I moved out and got a shop.
Wow. So how many years ago was that?
That was January 2nd of '82 is when I signed my first lease. So wow. Started up 37 years this year.
37 years. Yeah. And I was thinking the other day, of course, the silent brains in this whole thing is Missy. your wife. How long have you guys been married?
35 years.
35. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, she put up with me a long time.
I was going to say she is a saint.
Or more than.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the conversation like when you came home and told Missy that, well, you were always in racing, right? So, I mean, it wasn't a conversation you had to have, was it?
Well, yeah. Sometimes I said, hey, honey, guess what I did today?
Oh.
I've done that a lot of times.
It's not still working.
I haven't done it in a long time.
Good for you.
But in the old days, it worked out okay because she didn't have much of a choice. So. Don't tell her I said that.
Oh, well, this is not going to be on TV, so don't worry about it.
No, you know, she's been a great partner. She has put up with a lot of my shenanigans. Even when I crash and get hurt and she doesn't want me to go back, you have to go back. I mean, it's since I got a Hot Wheels car, I've been racing.
Right.
And it's in my blood and I just can't stop. And so I think she succumbed to that. As long as I'm safe and I wear all my safety gear, she's okay with that.
So you got started with IRL. I mean, when you would, because did you run any kart before the split, or did you?
I was with kart in the Toyota Atlantic Series.
Ah, okay.
So I ran the whole '95 season.
Okay.
And then of course SCCA Pro and the Hooter Series and a bunch of other stuff below that.
Right.
Even some local dirt track stuff here.
Right.
The old Duke City. So.
Right.
Good times. But yeah, it's just one of those things that IRL happened to pop up, and at the time, you know, we had mortgaged our house, and I was selling the goods to pay back that, and
right.
The IRL was kind of an option, and made some phone calls, and I said, hey, guess what, hon? We're not going to pay the house off. We're going racing again.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so that was probably her biggest leap of faith, I think, ever.
Well, tell the story about your win in Phoenix, the call you got after that, and then being able to take that money and actually get something done.
That was like, I don't know, that's like going to Vegas and putting all your money on one number, which I think she did, because we did. We put all our money on one number. We went to what was my 6th Indy Car race. We got 2 other partners. We bought a car, bought an engine, borrowed a trailer, went to the race, and sat on the outside of the front row and beat Tony Stewart that day. And get home, and of course my voicemail back in the day, the voice recorder was full, and just so happened one of the folks from US Industries was on there, and he's a sailboat racer, and he said, hey man, I'd love to help you out. I know what good equipment can do for you. We can't do quite $1 million, but how about 950? And I about fell out of my chair. Sure enough, a few weeks later we had a deal and the money was in the bank. We bought Rick Gallus's old stuff.
Wow.
So we had our own trailer and pit carts and goodies. We bought a spare motor and a spare car.
Wow.
And we went to Indy, and so we managed to turn that whole thing around. Of course, US Industries owns Jacuzzi, so that's where the Jacuzzi cars came from, and some of their Ertl Toys and Lehigh Boots, so some of their other companies that they own. So we had a great time, got to meet Mr. Jacuzzi and his son, and it was just a great year. I mean, we led 4 of 7 races that year, and we had a chance at the 500 until the engine blew, but you know, it's one of those things. But it was just a miracle that we won Phoenix, that's for sure.
So, of course, I'd mentioned earlier in the show that this is Bobby Unser's 50th anniversary, which is just a constant reminder to how old we're getting.
Yes.
When you're like, wow, I mean, I remember that. You know, but growing up kind of watching that and going, you know, someday, I mean, I want to run that race. And then find yourself warming the car up and getting ready to go out and qualify for it. What was that experience like?
Man, I tell you what, Indy is so magic. Of course, I've raced all over the place, Canada, and when you go to Indy, and everybody said it's going to be very different when you get there on race day, and sure enough, it was. It was like there's electricity in the air, there's color everywhere. The course looks smaller, especially turn 1. You're going in there at 240, and all of a sudden there's all these people, and the corner looks tighter. It's like, oh man. So yeah, the first few laps you're not going through there flat. It's a different perception. But the excitement, it's just, man, it sent chills down my spine when I walked out to the car. Jets fly over. I mean, it was the biggest race I'd ever been in.
Right.
And there's nothing else I've done since then that really compares to that in racing.
Wow, and of course, one of the things, it being the biggest race, is a lot of times you have people that come from, you know, Formula One or other forms of racing, even stock car racing, that would come compete in that. And of course, you know, one of the unique situations this year is we finally had enough cars that there was a bump day.
Yeah.
And I know you know James Hinchcliffe, you know, personally have raced, you know, lights with him, and
yeah,
with
Sean raced all the way back to Star Mazda with James.
Yeah. What do you think that feels like? Or better yet, if you were the guy that bumped him out, I mean, what's going through his mind potentially?
So I actually had that feeling. It was 1999. We didn't make the show. We spent 2 weeks building the car. There was rain delay, last day to qualify. We got our spot, we get on track, and the throttle position sensor fails. It's leaving dash marks down the back straightaway. So we pull in, the GM guy comes over, he fixes it. Oh, it's a TPMS. He fixes it, or TPS, fixes it, we get back in line. We're in line, and the gun goes off. Done, over.
Wow.
The fill was full. I think it was the second to last day. The next day was a rain out. Done, sorry.
Wow.
And we worked our tail ends off. We bought it was the Coulson entry at that year, and we took all kinds of spare parts and borrowed parts and built a car.
Wow.
And put it on the track with very limited resources and time. So that one hurt. So I know what he feels like. That was just such a letdown, such that I didn't go back in 2000. I was spent. We built our house, and then I got the bug the year later and had to go back in 01, and we had some problems there right before qualifying, but we lost the car. But yeah, that was a huge bad day for us.
Wow.
After all that. So
I should have done my homework, because I didn't know I was going to hit that.
Not many people know that, because you only know the success is not the failures.
Right.
But yeah, it gutted all of us, and that's what James said. He said, he felt gutted for his team.
Wow.
And so did I, because all of my guys that had been with me all those years, we were working till 4 in the morning on that car, and they gave up 2 weeks of their life to go do that, and I couldn't even make it in the show, for a silly sensor.
Wow.
So that's racing.
But I also think that's part of the lore.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, when Jim Clark, won, or when Mario's only won, I mean, it shows you just how big that is. I mean, Marco was so close, I mean, and they talk about, the curse of the track, and I mean, you gotta wonder about some of that stuff. But on a much more positive note, CarCrafters is doing quite well, and you're up to 7 locations as of today, right? I mean, no special announcements.
No. I'm happy. 7's plenty.
Good.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about, I mean, the people. I mean, because it's it's a team just like a racing team. You got to trust people, to do their jobs when you're not there to watch them, and I think that's got to be a sign of your leadership and success of the team.
Well, thanks. We have a lot of good leaders. I've got some folks there. Chuck's been with us 32 years.
Wow.
And there's probably, I think, right at 25 people that have been there 25 plus years.
See, that's a testament right
just
there.
An amazing amount of people that help me do this every day.
Right.
There's no way I could have gone racing without that leadership in our group.
Right.
Well, today we're almost 200 employees, and that leadership is still there.
Wow.
And their kids are there, and their friends are there, and so it's really cool to have grown our family that big, and it really is a giant family. We had to rent the casino for our holiday party at Christmas this year because we have so many families now.
Wow.
And so, but it was a blast. We had a great time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is special to have that many really, really good people. They just make me look good. They make my job easy, that's for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fruits of your labor. that GT that you brought out to the track. I mean, we all know the lore of the GT40 and winning Le Mans and an American team, and I mean the lore around that. I mean, is that like the icon for you? We got a shot of one of the promos on it. I mean, was that? I mean, is that your car? Is that the one, or is that just your next car?
So, the GT is really special to me. I've always been a Ford guy. I've been a Mustang guy, but about 9 months in business, I had done a restoration for a guy, and he brought me an original Ford Sebring GT poster.
Wow.
Tattered on the edges. And I put it in a frame, and I put it in my office. And it's still in my office above my phone.
Does it still got the cracked piece of glass?
I think you fixed that. You did.
Okay, all right.
Fixed that cracked piece of glass. That is still in my office, and every day that has driven me to succeed so that I could buy a GT.
Awesome.
So that's how I finally got the 05.
Awesome.
Used, but I finally got it. And so this is the biggest purchase of any new car other than a race car.
Right.
I think it's more than my first Indy car, actually.
Right.
Because I had 2 partners. But yeah, so this is really, it's culmination of 37 years of hard work.
Right.
And so to me, that was pretty special. So yeah, it's the car for me. How long I'll keep it, I don't know. But for right now, it sure feels good to get there. There's a lot of cars I could have bought over the years, but I've been waiting. Well, we waited 2.5 years for that one, and working my whole life to get there. So I'd still love to have an original GT, but I think that was a little too pricey for me.
Yeah,
so I'd have to sell all my cars for that one.
Right, and I mean, you think about what went into that vehicle too, and Carroll Shelby, and it was us against Ferrari. Well, us. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I mean, to win on that stage, go to their backyard, win in their backyard with equipment made, from America. I mean, that's
the testing and the problems and the failures that they. If you read their book about how they got there, it wasn't just, hey, let's put this in and go over there and beat them. It was tough. It was about 1.5 years worth of really hard work and breaking transmissions. And it was funny because they all had, every one of the GTs there had a different strategy to try to win that race for Ford.
Wow. One last question. What are you racing today?
So I bought a rolled over GT350, 2016, and originally was going to put that engine in a 56 Ford project.
Yeah.
Nope. I decided it's too nice of a car. We fixed it, and so now I'm road racing that.
Great.
So had it out the track last week, and we're looking forward to the June 9th and 10th race out at Sandia.
Are you thinking about doing some of the, I can't remember the letters right now, but it starts with the VSRA?
SVRA.
SVRA.
It's a Vintage Racing Association.
Yeah.
Of course, that car's too new. You'd have to get an older Trans Am car because it's a vintage race.
That's true.
But there's Shelby events. I'm going to one in Sonoma in August. I'm going to take the car up there for that and race. I'd love to race Sears Point. Well, Sonoma.
Right.
And Tulsa's got an event in the middle of June. So I'm going to pick and choose and just have some fun. And
awesome.
Yeah, just go drive the Mustang for a while. It's nothing special. It's all stock. It's even got the stock air cleaner on it. But we race prepped it and put slicks on it, so it's fun. It'll be fun.
Awesome. So if people want to follow that, I mean, Facebook, do you do the Insta Twitter or anything like that, or?
Nope, I'm pretty old school. Unless Kevin puts it on the website, it's not on there.
Awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate you.
You're finally making it in the studio.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, we got a whole lot more coming up, including Spencer and I are going to probably argue about what happened last week in the All-Star race, as well as should little teams that don't participate for the whole season, be allowed to actually try and qualify for a race like the Coke 600. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Network on Comcast 26.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hey, New Mexico, come check out the newly remodeled guest rooms at the new Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center, featuring 309 rooms, 30,000 square feet of meeting space. New Mexico's only indoor water park featuring the Wave Runner. 2,200 square foot fitness center with hydro massage chairs. Also enjoy breakfast at our new Manzanita Grill and watch your favorite team play at Altitude Sports Bar and Grill. It's all at Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center. Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewnetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
The luxurious La Bella Spa Salon offers the best personal care for your improved quality of life.
At El Bosco Bistro and Wine Bar, you will enjoy elegant private dining with an old world cuisine containing sustainable ingredients from the farm to your table.
La Bella Spa Salon has the latest in CBD therapy. Feel better with a botanical hemp massage or choose natural CBD products to treat pain, PTSD, and anxiety.
Enjoy the world-class experience that will leave you renewed, refreshed, and looking your best. La Bella Vita. You deserve it.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean. Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Nothing completes a trip downtown like a visit to Lindy's Cafe. You won't find a more relaxing restaurant to unwind at. Located on 5th and Central, proud supporters of Proview Networks, Lindy's strives to be a friendly and welcoming place.
Lindy's, a great place to be seen.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Network, Comcast 26, and I hope you enjoyed that that interview with Jim as much as I did. But I'm always fascinated by the world of outlaws, and of course we had a race this week. Tell me a little bit about their 2-day show.
Yes, the World of Outlaws was at Eldora Speedway this past weekend, and it was their hashtag Let's Race 2 event, and we have some results that we'll bring up right now. Donnie Schatz ended up sweeping both the nights over there. He's been on a roll this whole season. And Logan Schuchart right on his tail the whole time too, finishing in the second position both nights. First night, rounding out the top 5 was Brad Sweet, Jack Honschild, and Cole Duncan with a really good run in that number 12N car. Night 2, once again, went to Donnie Schatz. Here's a picture of him now. Leading the point standings for the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series. Logan Schuchart ended up second, Aaron Reitzel third, Craig Kinzer fourth, and Tim Schaefer rounded out the top 5 for night number 2 down there. Fast cars, of course, Eldora Speedway, one of the premier dirt tracks in this country. They put on a heck of a show down there.
Yeah, I mean, owned by Tony Stewart, and I mean, he's supposed to be a master at how to cut the clay too. You'll actually see him out in the truck. But talk a little bit about, I mean, there's another Kinzer. I mean, it's like, one down, another one comes up. I mean, and they still race, together out there. But what's it like to be in a wing sprint? I mean, how does, like what you see locally compared to like the World of Outlaws?
World of Outlaws, biggest difference is motor size, and they have the best of the best. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they throw all kinds of pennies at those cars. It's a little bit different from what I've experienced in the 360 and 305 wing sprint cars that I've ran, but there's really nothing to compare them to. There's no feeling like going down the front straightaway at full song in a wing sprint car. You just get, it's almost like a roller coaster feeling in your stomach. And it goes away after a couple laps, but the first time you stand on a throttle in a sprint car, it's like that same drop feeling, and you're just in the zone. You almost get tunnel vision because those things are so fast, and it's incredible. It really is. It's amazing to me that you can get a car that weighs so light and make it go so fast.
Right. Well, and I think the wings help with the downforce, and
of course,
as Guthrie was talking about, the window gets smaller into turn 1. I thought that was a fantastic analogy. But heartbreak, of course, we started talking about the Fast 9, which means it was the top 9 that got to compete for the pole on the outside on bump day, of course, at the Indy, and we'll pull up some Indy results there. But in the top 9, I mean, it's of significance. Danica Patrick, qualified a chance to get into the Fast 9, and then Helio Castroneves, who had actually had the top time, ended up, the car just was not ready. But Penske, was really kind of dominating until once again, and we got a picture here of Ed Carpenter getting the pole position. I was lucky enough to interview him on the radio a couple of weeks ago, so we're definitely this weekend going to be using his sound bite. But when he bumped the car, what was it, Newgarden, off to take the pole, because he is from Indiana. I mean, the crowd just cheered.
Oh yeah, crowd favorite.
It was absolutely phenomenal. But we also have a picture here of, and not to beat on James Hinchcliffe, but what that must feel like. I mean, 2 years ago, he's in a wreck. that almost takes his life away. Last year, it comes back and had such a tremendous run, and then the next year to be out. I mean, to me, that is why that race is part of what it is. It's a part of that. It's now, of course, it's a little bit shorter because you've got the Grand Prix that happens 2 weeks before, but it used to be a whole month. I mean, carburetor day and everything, and my phone is always blowing up with who is the fastest for that day. But man, I mean that's and Jim laid it down, and I apologize. I didn't actually know that happened. I know it happened to Junior in a Penske car, and you think about
it goes to show. I mean, James Hinchcliffe, 5th in points, and gets bumped out of the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah,
that's a story that to me is as big as any other right now in racing in general, because he's a big name.
Yeah,
and he's a major player and a serious threat to win this year's Indianapolis 500. And just like that, his chances at winning, poof, gone.
Well, let's talk a little Camping World Trucks so we can get to Cup, and then we can actually get to the discussion that totally relates to with NASCAR and some tweets back and forth. But Camping World Trucks, which was a great show, and I'm going to ask you your opinion. You see Kyle Busch finished in second, and you've got I don't know where, I can't see that far, but
yeah, Johnny Sauter ended up taking the win on that one. Kyle Busch second, a little bit frustrated with that second place finish though. Brandon Jones finishing in the 3rd position, Brett Moffitt 4th, Ben Rhodes in the 5th position, Stuart Friesen 6th, Parker Kligerman with a nice run in the 7th position,
Absolutely.
Noah Gragson 8th, 9th went to John Hunter Nemechek, and 10th to Todd Gilliland, the rookie in the Pedigree Toyota.
Yeah, so let's talk about the contact with Gragson. Okay. So I've looked at it several times, and my opinion is he did take a little bit of an angle on him. Okay. So I mean, it's racing. It's going to go. The inside line had trouble getting going all night. So you can say all you want, but Kyle Busch was frustrated. I mean, and he was frustrated at his pit crew because, I mean, twice they got over the wall too soon. So he had to go to the back, a couple of times. So he was coming, but I think that he didn't square up on him. He did kind of square. Am I right?
I would have to agree with you.
Okay, all right.
I agree with you on one thing here on the New Mexico Motorsports Report. But I think that was just one of those scenarios where Kyle Busch, he needed to get back to the front, and he was going to do whatever it took to get back up there. And unfortunately made contact with a team car. Just frustrating move, of course, because took Noah out of the running for possibly a win. I think he was one truck that could have ran down Johnny Sauter. Of course, Johnny super fast all weekend over there.
Yeah.
But just one of those racing deals. You're going for it, restart pretty late in the going. What do you do,
Yeah, because on the next restart, he did square up a little bit better on the truck that he was behind. But anyway, let's talk some Cup. Of course, no points, $1 million on the line. Kevin Harvick, the closer, closed again.
They even threw restrictor plates on the cars, and Kevin Harvick still comes away with the win. How about that?
That was it. I thought it was a good show. I tell you, most people from watching it on your couch, you can't tell the difference in speed. But you got to appreciate the fact that you can run somebody down and everything. But yeah, he gets $1 million. I'm not sure anybody could beat him. But let's talk about the other topic, which is, I mean, should a team be able to come out and try and qualify? And my answer is, heck yeah. I mean, if you want to spend your money and take a shot, I think you should get a shot. And I don't think you need to have a charter, and different things to be able to do that. I mean, because, all the charter does is guarantee you a split, for all the money that you put in there. But if a guy can come along and put it together and do it, I more power to him.
And once again, I'm going to have to agree with you on this subject.
Well, let's go ahead and call this.
Rare opportunity here in the Mexico Motorsports Report. But I do agree with you in this. If a team is wanting to go out there and try to compete at the highest level, I feel like NASCAR was built on the foundation that they should be able to do so. That's how the sport was back 10, 20 years ago, where I feel like the sport was really healthy. Unfortunately, things have changed now with the charter system, and they bring up good points on the other side of it, though. You can't go out and rent first base on the Yankees. You can't do that in professional sport. You can't go out and buy your way to a starting line on an NFL team. You can't do that. NASCAR, I feel, though, that's what made our sport unique. And I liked giving an opportunity to smaller teams. And when someone like Rob Kaufman, which is a co-owner now at Ganassi, he put out some strong words on Twitter the other day saying that these small teams were a nuisance. I don't buy that.
Right, and I totally agree. I mean, especially if they're not pushing their way in and start and park, which is, I think, was more of a problem. But anyway, if you want to get into the conversation, you want to communicate with us. You got a question or a guest you want to see, email us at nmmotorsportsreport@gmail.com. And of course, tune in. Thank you to the Proview Networks for replaying this. So sometimes you hear it a little bit later, but it's great to have it. But we'll be here next week, and we hope you are too, for the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Network, Comcast 26.